Muy buenos días a todos. A wonderful day to everyone watching this presentation. Before we begin, let's take a moment to reflect. Every choice we make affects not only ourselves, but also the people around us. Today, I will guide you through chapters 51 and 52 of Noli, titled Exchanges and the Cards of the Dead and the Shadows. I am Karil Grace Gabanete, and together, let's explore how Rizal's story continues to reflect truths and flaws of our own society. Mga aral na maaari pa rin nating dalhin sa ating buhay. So, what really happened in chapter 51, Exchanges? Inside Kapitan Tiago's house, everything seems calm and polite. But deep down, everyone is tense. Linares receives a letter from Doña Victorina telling him to challenge the Alferez to a duel or face her anger. Can you imagine how terrified he was? Meanwhile, Maria Clara plays the piano softly, unaware of the tension around her. Then, Padre Salvi arrives, bringing news that Ibarra's situation might soon improve. The moment he mentions Ibarra's name, everyone becomes uneasy. Later on, Ibarra suddenly arrives. The atmosphere changes. He greets everyone calmly, even Padre Salvi, who shakes his hand with a forced smile, pretending to be friendly while hiding resentment. Before leaving, Ibarra quietly asks Sinang to help him meet Maria Clara in private, showing that despite everything, his heart still longs for her. This chapter ends with polite smiles hiding in fear, guilt, and secret longing. So in this chapter, I've chosen two characters who, for me, truly represents the theme of exchanges. These characters are Alfonso Linares and Don Crisostomo Ibarra. So let's start with Linares. In this chapter, he's described as the type of person who's always anxious, afraid of losing face, and afraid of judgment. And when Doña Victorina pushes him to do something foolish, he snaps, saying, "Damn the hour in which I listened to her advice." That line shows not just fear, but regret. Linares symbolizes those who let social pressure control their lives. Through him, Rizal teaches that courage doesn't come from pretending to be brave. It comes from standing by what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, we have Ibarra. In this chapter, Ibarra was described as calm, respectful, and grounded in principle. In this chapter, Rizal writes, "The youth could not restrain a look of astonishment, showing that Ibarra feels deeply but stays in control. He doesn't fake emotion, he faces them with grace. Even when surrounded by fake smiles and hypocrisy, he chooses respect. He still greets Padre Salvi, the man who insulted him. Ibarra reminds us that being good doesn't mean being weak. It means having the strength to stay honest when everyone else chooses deception." Now, let's go deeper beyond the elegant house of Kapitan Tiago and connect it into the world we live in today. The main theme here for me is pretension and hypocrisy, or as we say, pakítang-tao. Look around us, in social media, in school, in society. A lot of people post good deeds, be kind captions, or Bible verses. Pero sa likod ng screen, they gossip, judge, or secretly hate the very people they pretend to love. Some call you friend, But the moment you turn your back, they're the first to twist your story or laugh at your own failure. Familiar ba? Those smiling faces that promise change, yet behind them are ghost projects, corruptions, and fake integrity. The so-called Nepo babies who flaunt wealth and success, claiming it's from hard work, when we all know connections and power made it possible. Questionable wealth, substandard flood projects, and family backed with privilege. Lahat yan bahagi ng sistemang pakítang-tao, where image matters more than truth. The question is, how long can anyone keep pretending? Hanggang kailan kayang itago ang totoo? Pakítang-tao may win applause, but it never earns respect. You can fake success, you can fake smile, but you can never fake integrity. That's why RA 6713, the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials, exists, to remind everyone in power that honesty is not optional. But this law is not only for them. It's for anyone who holds influence, even us, students, leaders, and professionals. Because integrity isn't measured by how you look, but by what you do when no one is watching. So, tanong ko lang, ilang linais pa kaya ang nasa paligid natin? Ilang Padre Salvi pa kaya ang mabait lang kapag may nakakakita? Ilang proyekto pa kaya ang matatapos sa papel lang? Maybe it's time to take off the mask, to choose honesty over approval and integrity over image. Because only when people stop pretending can society start healing. And only when truth returns can light finally replace the shadows. Now, let's move on to chapter 52, The Cards of the Dead and the Shadows. This scene opens on a dark, windy night near the cemetery. 3 men secretly plans a revolt in Ibarra's name, shouting, "Viva Don Crisostomo!" Then, Lucas arrives, followed quietly by Elias. Lucas deceives him by pretending to play cards with the dead, tricking Elias into leaving. Soon after, the civil guard mistaken Lucas for Elias. They arrest him, then carelessly release him. Later, the real Elias appears, determined, brave, and still seeking for justice. This chapter shows the darkness of betrayal and how revenge leads to more disruption than peace. The setting, which is the cemetery, the shadows, the silence, all symbolizes how corruption thrives when truth is buried. In this chapter, I've also chosen 2 characters. 2 men, one driven by integrity and the other by deceit. One fighting for justice and the other for selfish gain. Now, first we have Elias. He represents the light that still shines in the dark world. He believes in justice. He never let anger consume him. In the story, he says, "With my fists." It shows he's ready to fight, not for fame, not for revenge, but for what's right. He's strong but compassionate, brave but humble. Elias reminds us that standing for truth doesn't always mean a weapon. Sometimes it's holding your ground. And like Rizal, he fights with integrity, with the power of moral courage. On the other hand, we have Lucas, who is the perfect image of betrayal. He's manipulative, pretending to fight for Ibarra's cause, but deep down, he only seeks revenge. In this story, he says, "I want to win something tonight." It exposes his greed. He's not after justice. He just wants personal satisfaction. He's the kind of person who uses others' pain for his own gain, like people who act victims to get sympathy, or those who use noble causes just to look good. Now we reach the last part, the contemporary connection of chapter 52, the cards of the dead in the shadows. You might be wondering, what does this eerie scene in the cemetery have to do with us? Well, a lot actually. If chapter 51 showed us pakítang-tao, this one exposes next layer, pagtataksil. The main issue reflected in this chapter is betrayal and corruption. The kind that hides in darkness, smiling by day, stealing by night. Rizal used the darkness, gambling, and betrayal to expose how corruption and deceit exists. And yes, that still happens today. In politics, we see leaders pretending to serve the people while secretly stealing from them. In friendship, some betray others for attention, pride, or gossip. Remember Lucas? He used Ibarra's name to lead a fake revolt, a betrayal disguised as loyalty. And if we think about it, hindi ba ganito rin ang nangyari kay Rizal? He was betrayed by a system that feared his truth, by people who choose silence over justice. And if we look at the system now, there are laws that trying to stop that darkness. For example, we have RA 3019, the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. This exists to punish public officials who betray the public trust through bribery, ghost projects, and other corrupt acts. Pero kahit may batas, the problem continues when people hide corruption in the shadows, when projects are substandard, and when money meant for public service ends up lining private pockets. Now sa panahon ngayon, sino ka sa kanila? Are you the Lucas who betrays when it's easy? Or the Elias who stays true even when it's hard? Because Rizal's message is timeless. The real revolution begins not in war, but in our hearts, when we choose integrity over betrayal. And that ends my presentation. Thank you so much for listening and reflecting with me. May we all choose truth, courage, and integrity, and continue to be the light that stands against the shadow. Maraming salamat.